Hello, my lovely people. Are you ready to transform your English speaking skills in just a few minutes? Today, we have an exciting and dynamic lesson lined up for you. We have a lively conversation about our daily routines that resonates with your own experience. And from this engaging dialogue, you will discover 30 advanced vocabulary terms, things idioms, phrasal verbs, and phrases that will elevate your everyday conversations to a whole new level. But that's not all. I'll share unique tips designed to supercharge your English communication skills, making you more confident and articulate. And to wrap things up, we'll dive into some fun comprehension exercise to sharpen your listening abilities. This lesson is quick and impactful. So if you're eager to level up your English and make learning enjoyable, let's get going. You always seem so put together, Chetna. How do you manage everything? What's your routine like? Thanks, Chetna. It took a while to get the hang of it, but I finally have a routine that works. I'm an early bird. I'm usually up by about 6 a.m. That sounds early. What's the first thing you do? First things first, I drink a warm tonic and go for a brisk walk. It's my way of getting the blood pumping. And honestly, it's like hitting the reset button for the day. After that, I make a healthy breakfast. A good start really sets the tone for the day. That's so true. I usually just grab a coffee and rush the door. You should try a real breakfast. Once I'm ready, I dive into my work tasks. I try to tackle the hardest ones first, just so I don't bite off more than I can chew later. Smart move. And then? Well, I break up my day with short pauses. By noon, if I'm at my wit's end, I do a few stretches. A bit of fresh air helps me refocus. In the afternoon, I wrap up my calls, and if there's time, I squeeze in some reading or tune into the news, something to break the monotony. Sounds productive. Do you usually work late? Only if I have a deadline around the corner. Otherwise, I try not to burn the midnight oil too often. I usually wrap things up by 6 p.m. and then unwind with a book or a podcast. And by 10 p.m., I hit the sack. I need to learn from you. My routine is all over the place. Start small. You'll get there. Just remember to play it by ear and adjust as you go. Alright, that's the story. And before we jump into the vocabulary, a quick shout out to Happiness Will Come, who says that they had an exam on active passive and they were very worried till they saw our video and then they were relaxed. I hope you too have a relaxed and happy learning experience with ChetChat lessons. So if you want to shout out in my next video, leave me a message below and make sure you include the hashtag ChetChatters. Now on to part 2, vocabulary and idioms. First, let's see the idioms used in the conversation. I am an early bird. Being an early bird means you're up and ready early. And it comes from the idiom, the early bird catches the worm, which means you have an advantage by starting early. An alternate phrase is, I'm an early riser. Bite off more than I can chew. Imagine taking a huge bite which can barely fit inside your mouth and you're not able to chew it. Bite off more than I can chew means take on more work than one can handle. Use this when you want to describe a situation where you might feel overwhelmed. An alternate phrase is spread yourself too thin. At my wit's end. Use this when you feel really stressed or overwhelmed. I'm at my wit's end means I can't think logically anymore. I am so stressed. Other phrases you can use are running up against a wall or mind is drawing a blank. Burn the midnight oil. This one is used when you work late into the night, especially studying or working on a project. You can also say pull an all-nighter. Play it by ear. This means to adapt to a situation as it happens. When you play a musical tune without preparing and just as you listen to it, it is playing it by ear. Great to use when flexibility is needed. You can also say go with the flow or take things as they come. First things first. It's a way of saying let's prioritize. let's do the most important task before we do anything else. First things first, let's make sure we have all the materials ready before we start the project. Another phrase you can use here is handle the big rocks first. Hitting the reset button. This means restarting something with a fresh approach or taking a break to clear your mind and refocus. Tip for usage. Use this phrase when you're feeling overwhelmed and ready to step back, or when you're planning to start all over on a clean slate. Around the corner. This phrase can mean that something is either physically close or that an event or time is coming soon. By the way, sometimes when we want to go to the toilet or washroom, we could say, I will just go around the corner. But in the context of our story, it means something coming up shortly. Christmas is around the corner. All over the place. This means being disorganized, scattered, or chaotic. Tip for usage. This phrase is great for describing anything or anyone that feels out of control or unfocused. His ideas are all over the place. Break the monotony. This means doing something unusual to make a repetitive or routine situation more interesting. Use this when you want to add variety or excitement to a routine. I often listen to music during long drives to break the monotony of the daily commute to work. And alternate phrases spice things up. Next, let's check out some phrasal verbs used in the conversation. Put together. This means to organize or assemble, like putting together an outfit or a plan. You are so put together means you are so organized. To get the hang of. It means learning or becoming comfortable with something. Once you get the hang of driving, you'll enjoy zipping around the countryside. And alternate phrases to learn the ropes. Dive into. Dive into means start doing something enthusiastically, like jump right into something. I can't wait to dive into that new book series. I've heard so many great things about it. Break up. Break up means to separate or divide. For example, I break up my day with short pauses. It's important to break up your study sessions into short sessions to maintain focus and avoid burnout. You can also say to split into small pieces. Wrap up. Wrap up means to finish something. As we wrap up this meeting, let's summarize the key points we discussed today. You can also say wind up. To wind up the project. Let's wrap up. Like after the shoot, we say pack up. Same way. Hit the sack. Hit the sack is an informal way to say go to bed. After a long day at work, I can't wait to hit the sack and get some much needed rest. Squeeze in. To fit something into a tight schedule or space. I try to squeeze in a quick workout during my lunch break to stay active. You can also say to fit in. Tune into means to pay attention to or to become aware of something, to focus on something. Don't forget to tune into the live concert this evening. It's going to be an amazing show. Now we need to check out the vocabulary and phrases used in the conversation. Took a while. Took a while means something required a lot of time. It takes a while before we can become fluent in English. It took a while for me to adjust to the new city, but now I feel right at home. Up by. It means being awake or ready by a specific time. Up by 7 a.m. The meeting is scheduled to start at 10 a.m. So please make sure you're going to be up by 9:30 to prepare. It's my way. It's my way is like saying, it's how I prefer it. When it comes to decorating my home, it's my way of expressing my personality and creativity. You can also say, that's how I roll. Sets the tone. Establishes the mood for the rest of the day or event. The opening scene of the movie really sets the tone for the entire story, drawing viewers into an emotional depth. Grab a coffee. This is a casual way to say, let's get coffee or pick up a cup of coffee. Let's grab a coffee before our next meeting. Rush the door. To leave quickly, often in a hurry, just to dash out. He rushed the door to avoid the traffic building up. Tackle the hardest things first to handle the most difficult tasks before picking up the easier ones. It's often best to tackle the hardest things first when you have the most energy and focus. You can also say, eat the frog. Smart move. This is a good way to compliment people, or if they've taken a good decision, a wise or intelligent decision. Deciding to invest in my education was a smart move that has opened up many new opportunities for me. Unwind. This is a verb. It means to relax after a period of work or stress. After a long week, I like to unwind by reading a good book or watching my favorite shows. You can also say wind down. Start small. It means to begin with simple or minor tasks before taking on bigger ones. So when starting a new project, it's wise to start small and gradually build up your efforts for better results. You can also say baby steps. As you go, doing something gradually, step by step, rather than all at once. Remember to take breaks as you go. It helps maintain your productivity and keeps you refreshed. Refocus. Refocus means to adjust your attention back onto the main task or goal. If you find yourself getting distracted, take a moment to refocus on your goals and what you want to achieve. You can also say to get back on track. Now we're done with the 30 vocabulary words, phrases, idioms and phrasal verbs. Let's move on to part 3, where I have 3 bonus learning tips for daily English speaking practice. 1. Practice in front of a mirror. Just stand in front of the mirror and talk about the topic for 2 or 3 minutes. You will observe your body language while you're speaking, your facial expressions, and it will start to feel like a real conversation. You can also put your phone on a tripod and you can video record yourself. This allows you to identify the words or phrases that you struggle with. Tip number 2, narrate your day. Spend a few minutes each day narrating what you did, where you went, how you felt in English. This practice helps reinforce vocabulary, sentence structure, and it makes speaking a part of your daily routine. Example: after a quick breakfast, I went to grab a coffee from my favorite cafe to kickstart my energy levels. Finally, after a long day, I just curled up with a good book to help me wind down and relax before I hit the sack. Okay, tip number 3, try shadowing for improved pronunciation. Now listen to this previous conversation again and repeat the sentences aloud immediately after you hear them. Pause, repeat. Mimic intonation, mimic pronunciation. This technique called shadowing, it helps you with fluency and getting a natural flow. Do this with movies, videos or shows. Part 4, Comprehension Practice. Question 1 on your screen. What time does Chetna usually wake up to start her day? You have 4 options on your screen and write the correct answer as a message below. The answer is B, 6 a.m. Okay, next question. What is Chetna's first activity after she wakes up? The answer is option C, going for a brisk walk. Question 3 on your screen. Which idiom does Chetna use to express the idea of tackling difficult tasks first? The answer is B, bite off more than I can chew. Question 4. What does Chetna do if she feels at her wit's end by noon? Chetna says she does a few stretches in the fresh air if she's feeling overwhelmed, which helps her refocus. Question 5. When does Chetna usually finish her work day? The answer is B, 6 p.m. Next question. Which idiom does Chetna use to describe going to bed? The answer is C, hit the sack. Next question. What does Sochna mean when she says her routine is all over the place? C, her routine is chaotic. Question number 8. Which phrase suggests that Chetna likes to start her day early to stay ahead? B, the early bird catches the worm. So that was it. A quick, punchy lesson which you can watch over and over again to practice speaking English. And in the meantime, press that like button and share this with your friends, and see you next Friday.